Are you enamored with the idea of efficient, small electric transportation, but wish there was something that bridged the gap between Beats riding a scooter and an actual car? You may be the ideal customer for a bingo. Wuling Bingo.
With hands-on test drives and reviews of exciting Chinese market vehicles, Wheelsboy is the #1 source for China auto insights. Be sure to check us out on Instagram and Facebook.
Wuling seems intent on dominating the lower end of the EV market here in China, and the Bingo is the next step in that conquest. Priced between $8,600 and $12,000 USD, it slots above city cars like the Mini EV, but below small hatchbacks like the Aura Funky Cat. The Bingo is adorable in a blobby sort of way. There's also enough chrome on the outside to give it just a touch of vintage feel. The headlights and taillights are slightly too large for the body, kind of like the eyes of an anime character. Oh, or a baby owl. It comes in 4 colors. This off-white color, pink, green, and black. However, you can option a snazzy contrasting roof like this for an extra $150. At 3.95 meters long, the Bingo is almost a meter longer than a Mini EV, but about 30 centimeters shorter than a Funky Cat. It's small, but not too small to be useful. Oh, and those stickers, they're courtesy of the dealership from which we borrowed the car. I've got good news and bad news. The good news is that this thing comes with fast charging. That means that it can go from 20 to 80% in about 35 minutes. The bad news is that's only available on the larger of the 2 battery packs. People who choose the smaller battery pack will have to make do with slow charging, which takes 5.5 hours. What I'm about to show you is, I think, the most surprising thing about this vehicle, and the thing that makes it, in my opinion at least, one of the most practical vehicles you can buy for this price point, and that is the rear cargo area. This electric door, by the way, not standard. This was put on by the dealership that we borrowed this car from. The reason I say this thing is surprising is that it measures 310 liters behind the rear seats. That's 100 liters more than a Funky Cat. That's mostly due to the fact that it's way deeper than you think it's going to be. Unlike the Mini EV, the interior styling of the Bingo has a retro flavor to it. The car we drove for this review was top spec, which means it had every bit of kit you can get for this model. That includes faux leather seats instead of cloth, and voice controls for media, AC, and even the windows. Almost every Bingo trim level has a single 7-inch digital instrument cluster screen. Only the top spec has a pair of 10.25-inch screens. Either way, all Bingos come standard with Bluetooth audio and calling. Pretty much all of your functions can be controlled via the center screen, including your navigation, your media, your air conditioning, and your vehicle settings. You can also control the air conditioning via these knobs here, and you have a physical button for selecting your different driving modes: Sport, Normal, and Eco. Between the seats, you have another knob that acts as your transmission shifter, park, reverse, neutral, drive. Behind that, you have your electronic emergency brake, and behind that, you have another button that doesn't seem to do anything. You can press it, and it looks like it has a light, but it never actually lights up. These seats really put the faux in faux leather, but they are pretty soft. Other material qualities like the plastics, definitely above the level of cheaper cars like the Mini EV, but not going to be impressing anybody anytime soon. On the door and on the dashboard, you have this kind of, I don't know, carbon fiber looking pattern. I just feel like it doesn't fit with the more vintage style of this car, and I wish they'd chosen something else. Front row shoulder and headroom are fine for this size of car, but the floor is really high. Second row legroom is surprisingly copious, but headroom is tight for anyone over 1.8 meters tall or about 6 foot. It occurred to me during my time with the Bingo that it really ruins the market for one of Wuling's other models, the Air EV. Despite being around the same price, the Air EV is far smaller and less practical. Here's the part you're not going to want to hear. While we know the Air EV is going to be sold in markets outside of China, no such announcement has been made for the Bingo. I know, just when you think Wuling is giving you the stuff you really want, they pull the rug right out from under you. My condolences. Bingos with the smaller battery pack have a single front-mounted motor making 30 kilowatts and 110 newton meters. Step it up to the larger battery pack and you get a whopping 50 kilowatts and 150 newton meters.
Now, 50 kilowatts doesn't seem like a lot of power, and that's because it's not. Then again, the Bingo isn't a lot of car, 1,120 kilograms when equipped with this larger battery pack. There's no official 0 to 100 km per hour time because 100 kilometers per hour is its actual top speed. I have yet to attempt to get it that fast. I will say that once you get to those higher speeds, you can then maintain them using the available cruise control. That's regular standard cruise control, not adaptive cruise control, mind you.
Driver and passenger airbags are standard on the Bingo, but there's definitely no side curtain bags in this thing. There's ABS, but no electronic stability programming, so hopefully you can wrangle that 30 to 50 kilowatts all on your own.
Credit where credit is due. This thing has a much more refined NVH experience than I was personally expecting. I'm not being deafened by tire noise or motor whine or even wind noise. It also doesn't feel like I'm talking to you from inside of a tin can.
The Bingo has a very simple McPherson strut front suspension and torsion beam rear. That's not a major improvement over the Mini EV, but the longer wheelbase and wider track definitely help the ride.
Another area where the Bingo absolutely stomps the Mini EV and other cars in its tinier segment is the steering feel. This thing actually doesn't steer like a golf cart. Hooray! Brake feel is very vague, but I am reassured by the fact that there are disc brakes, both front and rear, on our top spec car. Regen, very, very weak. And there is no one-pedal driving mode.
The reality is, I can always find things to complain about, but the price tag of the Bingo allows you to hand-wave almost anything.
I wish it had auto hold. It really ought to have auto hold. Who cares? It's $8,600. The plastic on the dash has the luster and hardness of a diamond. It's $8,600. It's slower off the line than riding a donkey. An old donkey. It's $8,600. I know. It's $8,600. I still think it should have auto hold.
The Bingo feels like the type of cheap and practical EV that so many of our fans have been begging for automakers to produce. It's a remedy for those who think the EV market is dominated by too many overweight, overpowered, and overpriced options.
With enough space to haul groceries and enough range to get you where you need to go, the Bingo seems like a great option for a great number of buyers, all without asking you to drive something that's only slightly better than walking. Let's hope that this is a sign of future electric cars to come. All right, that's all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check us out on our social media and our website. All the links are in the description below. And as always, like, subscribe, and hit the bell.